your mouth.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno. Now it is that time. Your time to meet. Relatively speaking, that's not terrible, Chuck. You got the Kings on national TV, Chuck. You should be happy. You got something good to talk about. Hopefully we're hearing this tonight. Relatively speaking, I think tonight's game, tomorrow's game, more important than any game the Kings will play on their upcoming homestand, their longest homestand of the second half of the season. Kings Warriors, I like the injury report. I don't know that you're going to like the injury report. We've got the updated one. We'll let you know who's in, who's out. We'll take your calls, and we'll get you ready for the one that will decide the tiebreaker between two teams that are going in different directions right now. The Warriors have not lost a game since acquiring Jimmy Butler. Can the Kings give them their first? We'll see. Let's get at it. Pregame show right here on If You Don't Like That.
Late nights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away.
Speaking of turning away now, you know, I was right on the money with that, with De'Aaron Fox. Not about him getting booed or cheered, but that he would have season-ending surgery shortly after the Kings game was over, and that is indeed the case. Foxy is going to box it in, get the surgery done, start healing now, and can't help but help them lose games, to be honest. With Wemby out as well, that's kind of scary if they do get another good draft pick. But enough about him. Let's talk about this one. Kings Warriors. The big question all day was, is Domantas Sabonis going to play? He is not. No Domas tonight. I think it's a great call. You do not rush somebody. Like, if you feel like your hamstring's good to go and you're only like 2 weeks out from pulling your hamstring, that means you need another day or two or a week, which he's not going to get a week. This is the time of the season that you got to have him on the floor, but you don't need to have him on the floor in the first night of a back-to-back, especially against a high-tempo team, against a team that very well could blow the Kings out tonight. They're 6.5 now, 7.5 point favorites in this one. I like the decision to hold him out. Trey Lyles will be available. He showed up on the injury report later in the afternoon, or earlier in the afternoon. And Jake LaRavia also available to play tonight. So we'll get to some more on the Kings, what they're going to do with the rotation. We've got audio from Doug Christie, but Valanciunas will get the start again. Does this mean we're going to see some Isaac Jones minutes tonight? I bet it will. I think you will probably get a little taste of Isaac. Jonathan Kuminga for the Warriors is making his return. That is a big bump for them. No Brandon Pajemski, though, so that makes a little bit of a difference for them. Here's the matchup for the season. The Kings have won 2. The Warriors have won 1. Say that again. 1-1. Yeah, I don't know.
That's terrible.
The Warriors have won 1 game this season against the Kings. So can it get even tonight? Can the Kings run away with that? You know why it's important? It's the tiebreaker. Can the Kings secure the tiebreaker? Let's say the Kings go on a magical run, or let's say Steph Curry sprains an ankle, knock on wood that he does not. and the Warriors fall back, that means the Kings would get, if they ended up having the same records, the spot over the Warriors. Now, there's a couple different things that they can go through with the tiebreaker. If it's 2-2, we're not going to get into all of them, but good things so far. These teams have played decent games, with the exception of the one where the Kings blew out the Warriors. Blew them out by 30 points in Golden State. That game was without De'Aaron Fox, I believe. And that was huge for the Kings. Huge. Now, the Kings were also hugely tired after last game with the Knicks, which makes me wonder how Doug is going to handle the rotations. I do think we can all agree you do not want Zach LaVine on the basketball court if the game's out of hand, which brings up the next conversation. If the game is out of hand, at what point do you shift your focus to tomorrow? Now, I get that this is probably the best rivalry going for the Kings right now, the Warriors. But my opinion is tomorrow night's game is way more important than tonight's game. So whether the Kings agree, disagree, or Domas just wasn't ready, at least you hopefully get the return of Domas tomorrow, which gives you a little bit of added firepower on the back end, which they didn't have against the Knicks in their last game. They ran out of gas. There was nothing left in the tank for the Kings, and Doug Christie inexplicably kept some of those guys in that just kind of upset some fans, especially when you got Zach LaVine, who doesn't play every single game. You got Zach LaVine, who has had injury concerns throughout his career. Yeah, let's just keep him on the floor until 5:39 or 5:49. Anyways, as Nick says, hello, LaVine, DeRozan, King Keegan, and JV, Keon Monk. Yep, that's the way you're going to be looking. And I'll tell you what, if you could get TNT to put just a straight frame on Keon Ellis and Steph Curry, it would be as entertaining as the basketball game you're going to see tonight. Keon, and I thought Jerry brought up a very good point yesterday that I'm sure Curry's come up with some different strategies and watched the film. He's got a couple counters now, but Keon is one of the few guys that I have seen in the last few years that could get beat by Curry and still recover and make a play against him. So really looking forward to seeing what he does. Also, they're going to throw in a little bit of a mix up with Keegan Murray for length. So the Kings game plan's there, but the variable, the wild card, Jimmy Butler, this Warriors team looked completely different last time we saw them, just a few weeks back. And that's because of Jimmy Butler. He slashes. He makes that team more physical. All the things that Draymond Green used to do really well, he now does those again. So can the Kings stay out of foul trouble tonight? That's going to be really, really important. And can they bring the fight to the Golden State Warriors, who have not lost? Again, they are 9-1 in their last 10 and have not lost since acquiring Jimmy Butler. So we look forward to it. Give me your calls if you want to talk about the game. More than happy to have you on the show. You can also scan the QR code if you want to get in on the action. That will get you on the show as well. PK says, what's up, boys? Edward says, I'd say this game is more important than the Suns. If you're going to go for it, you must beat the Warriors. And even the series. Okay. See, now that's where we're a little bit different, and that's fine. I have no problem with it. I have, and I think Grant and Jerry both were in the same spot as me yesterday on the roundtable. I have resigned myself. I understand with the Kings schedule that's coming up that the Kings are going to be a play-in team. There's just no way around it. The Kings are going to be a play-in team. The Kings are going to be lucky to get to 500 on the season. There's some people that think there might not even be 5 more wins on the schedule, and it's strictly because of the strength of schedule that they're facing. I've spelled it out a few times. I'll put it up there for you to look at again. But you start with Golden State tonight, tomorrow in Phoenix back-to-back, and then you've got Memphis Monday, and then, Memphis Monday begins your longest homestand, by the way, of the second half of the season. Memphis, Cleveland, Chicago, Milwaukee, Boston, Oklahoma City. Boston, Oklahoma City is a back-to-back. And then you've got Portland to close out the homestand. You have one travel day, exactly one travel day. As soon as you end that game against Portland, you are getting in an airplane and you are flying to Orlando to play the Orlando Magic. That is rough. So it's going to be a tough trek for them. But I still think tomorrow you've got to push Phoenix as far away as you can from that play-in scenario. Because wouldn't you rather? I would rather have Dallas, even if they have Anthony Davis back. I would much rather play Dallas with Anthony Davis in a one-game sample size than Booker and Durant. I just would. That's me. But getting back to tonight, here's how the teams line up and some of the stats. You want to look at those as we continue going through the chat. They're supposed to have the plan. What plan, Nick? What plan, Nick? Kings with the big win tonight. You think so? These two teams usually they either play a really good game or it's a blowout. And one thing I'm starting to learn about this Kings team is they don't play well from behind. They do not play well from behind. So can the Kings find a way? And this is going to be very important to what Doug Christie does with the rotation. Can they get out to a decent start to where you are not playing from behind? Or if you are playing from behind, we're only talking about a point or two, because your bench, as much as we'd like to think we've got Bench Mob 2.0, it's the complete opposite of Bench Mob 2.0. And I don't mean that in terms of their talent. I mean that in terms of what they specialize in. Kings fans, your Bench Mob specializes in defense. It's Jake LaRavia. It's Keon Ellis. They give you a defensive bump. So when the Kings are climbing back into games, it ain't the offense. It's the defense that gets them back in. And we all know how quick it can go. And in fact, in the last couple meetings with the Warriors, we've seen halftimes where Steph Curry only has 9 points. We've seen halftimes where last game, Jimmy Butler, he was in single digits, but he had like 11 assists. So in these 3 games so far this season between the Kings and the Warriors are averaging 31 assists per game. How about that? All right, big boy, get up in here. What's up, PK?
Hey, big boy.
What's going on, brother?
Hey, one thing, I think you got something really wrong here, Ryan. I think this game matters a lot to Kings fans. It might not matter on the stat sheet. It might not matter in reality of the scheduling and reality of tough games that are coming up. But as far as the Kings fans are coming up, like, I think every single Kings fan knows that this game matters. Not necessarily winning, but this game, to me, it matters. And I think to everyone, I think in the chat, it matters. So saying that, hey, you know what? This game doesn't matter. We're going to go to the next game. We're going to focus on Phoenix. No. Today, I want to see what my team looks like today.
PK, you make a very good point. You got to live in the moment. You got to live for today. I know this game matters to Kings fans. It's a rivalry game. The Warriors might not see it that way. They're fans because every time we see the Warriors, they have new fans. Anyways, but when you look at how the playoff standings are, if one's more important than the other, one bears more weight on the Kings' future, it's probably tomorrow's. But this is a very important game. I get it. And here's the other thing that we got to think about too. And you know what, PK? You bring up an excellent point. You know why? Because when I just ran down that list of games that the Kings have beaten Golden State twice this year. This is theoretically a winnable basketball game. I don't go into this one looking at it as a Cleveland, as a OKC, as a Boston. To me, this is more winnable. So yeah, I think you do have to get this one. But if it's not going your way, Doug Christie's got to be conservative on that side too and not play those starters too many minutes.
True. But you know what? Last time we played, they whooped our behinds. And you know what? This time it's on TNT. Our last game. and
Right.
everyone's going to be looking at us. They're going to see what this team is made out of. We're on the national stage. I don't care about the excuses. I want a good game out of them. I don't want like if they fold like they folded on against Knicks, you you're destroying these fans. We love this team regardless of the roster of injuries. We love what they're doing. So let's show up today. And that's all I got, brother. Thank
All
you.
right, dude. Be well. Thanks for the call. PK said this is the last game on TNT. I've heard some rumblings that one of the games got flexed. Did the Oklahoma City game get flexed? So if it did, because that one on the schedule says TNT, then yeah, this will be your last time getting that crew
That's terrible.
talking about the Kings, or at least talking about them in a longer form conversation than a highlight. The Kings usually play well on TNT as of late. They played pretty well on TNT. Like when I think back, which games have been on. So yeah, good stuff, man. Pick a side, as Chuck always says. Which one's it going to be? Kings, Dubs. Which game's more important? They're both important. We get it.
Pick a side.
Let's get to Doug Christie yesterday. So this is really interesting to me. If you were with me on the 2:00 show, you know that I was hitting on this a little bit ago. And what's up, Horse? What's up, Gail? Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody who is tuning in right now. There's been some pushback in the media about the way that Doug is running the offense, or at least the maybe como se dice, lack of structure in the offense. Doug pressed back after the Knicks game, and it continued to kind of come up yesterday with DeMar DeRozan after practice, a practice where Domantas Sabonis went through as a full participant, got up and down the floor with the guys. Today was to see if he was going to have any soreness. Looks like there might have been some. And again, be super conservative with him. But the media spoke to Doug after practice, and check out a sampling of where Doug's at attitude-wise.
Getting maybe Domas back in practice, just how is he looking, and maybe how close?
I think he's going to be day to day probably as they decide. But I look good to me. I mean, it's just I'm happy to see him out here. Period. So just seeing his face, seeing him smile, get up and down the court a little bit, and shoot the basketball. Like as far as the health and when, I think that's going to be, it's going to still be up in the air, because those type of injuries, as somebody who has played, when it's soft tissue, sometimes you got to wake up in the morning and see how you're feeling after you stress it. So we'll see.
Jonas has filled in so great, and with Domas, he obviously fills the stat page. But where do you feel is like the biggest area you guys miss his presence most?
I mean, he's talented, man. Like, he covers the stat sheet. So, he's going to give you about 20. He's going to give you about 10 and almost 10 verticality at the rim, late reds on guards, because I think he moves his feet better than people think. He stretches the floor at the 5 and shoots a 3 ball. Like, you want me to keep going? It's kind of a lot. I mean, we just miss him. His presence, what he brings to the locker room. There's a lot of different things, man, that you miss. It's not just one thing. Even when it's a score, you miss a guy who scores 28 or 30. It's not just that. There's the gravity. There's personality. There's a lot of different things. Yeah.
Doug, how is your restructuring of the coaching staff, who's moved up to the front, who's sort of taken on more since you've had, not only Luke leave, but yourself elevated?
I mean, I'm the head coach, so I do everything. I rely on the staff to do a lot of different stuff, but it all falls back on me. So when LB comes back, he will be on the front of the bench, but until then, Jim will be on the front of the bench.
Okay.
From a rotation standpoint, not knowing how many minutes Domas is going to have, but you tinkered with the lineup a little bit with him and Malik out. Moving forward, did you like what you saw from some of the other guys in elevated roles and rotations?
Yeah, I've always been of the mindset that injuries they're a bad thing for the individual, but for the collective team, normally they strengthen you because guys get opportunities. We learn how to play. We see different avenues. We see different solutions to problems. And by the time they come back, we're stronger as a unit. So there was a lot of good. I thought Jake jumped off the screen and did a really good job. Jonas has been spectacular. Keon continues to do Keon things. And excuse me, even our rookie DC, he got in and he played well. I like what I saw, his aggressiveness, his defense, all that different stuff. Like, he doesn't probably get that opportunity if everyone stays healthy. So I think it makes us a better team and unit sometimes when guys get hurt, unfortunately.
So DSC, I'm not totally against it. I'm not. But here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about money laundering. I'm worried about tequila scandals. I'm worried about Ponzi schemes. Worry about RICO charges. You got to think about those things. All those things come with PK. We never know where he is at in the world. And we don't know if what he does is legal. But basketball-wise, I might be able to get on board with it. I just might. One thing important to note from Doug's comments, or at least important to me, and it's the question the media has been pushing back on, is these competing styles and maybe some of these other styles that we believe or we assume would be there depending on Doug's rotations, specifically the double big lineup that we saw briefly in Denver. And the thing about these styles is these styles change as different guys are out. And then sometimes styles disappear when guys return to the lineup, when instead of styles disappearing, how about guys integrating into the style? And so that has been something that I think's been a little bit tricky for Doug and his staff to navigate. And hell, Doug's done a great job considering that he was fourth on the bench, not thinking he was going to be the head coach of this team, and he gets thrown in as the head coach, and he's got an above 500 record. I believe he's 7 or 8 games over 500 at this point. And you lose Luke Laux, who was your defensive coordinator. So all those things considered, we are sitting, I believe the Kings are sitting very well. If you would have told me at the start of the season, Brown would be fired, Fox would be traded, Doug Christie would be head coach, and then I'm not going to go down the entire list. I would have told you we're shooting for Cooper Flag, but instead you're going to have a chance to make it into the dance. Maybe if you can win some really hard games and put a stretch together, you can make it there without the play-in. So what you're looking at right now is what the Warriors do and what the Warriors do well. The big number for me that I am looking at is right here. It is that 3 right there that it won't let me highlight. The 3 that is under 3-point attempts for the Warriors. The Warriors are 3rd in the NBA at 3-point attempts. We all know what the problem is for the Kings. The Kings' problem is defending the 3 ball. Now, what makes it interesting about how the Kings have come to those issues, and the issues against New York were a little bit different. Those guys were just dog tired. They just didn't get there. So I don't put a lot of weight into the closeouts. I don't put a lot of weight into the rotations in that game as much as I would. If I saw the same thing tonight against the Warriors after being rested, then I would be worried. But I don't think that's going to be all bad. Here's what I do want to point out, though. See the Kings percentage here? That number had been 27, and then it creeped up to 28. The Kings are now the worst team in the NBA at guarding the 3 ball. They have not been back to 30 until, I believe, maybe earlier this season, very early, or last season. But as we sit right now, they are dead last at guarding the 3 ball. Here's why I can live with it. Because it's not going to get fixed. We're 60. This is game 65 tonight. It's probably not getting changed drastically. You know, the one thing you can change? It's driving people off of the line. And that's exactly what the Kings have been doing. So as the 3-point percentage has gone up for their opponents, the attempts have gone down. So for me, when I look at Golden State being third in the league in 3-point attempts, what can the Kings do to negate that? And certainly you're not going to do much to run Buddy Hield off the 3-point line. That's where he lives. But can they do that with Draymond Green? Can they do that to Jimmy Butler? Can they do that with Jonathan Kuminga? And so on and so forth. No Brandon Pajemski, that helps you as well, although he's one of those invisible stats guys. He's a glue guy, so they will miss him tonight. So I look at that very much. And then I also very much look at the offensive rebounding, the kiss of death for the Kings and the Warriors in the 22-23 playoffs. These Warriors, this iteration of the Warriors, they are fourth in offensive rebounding. The Kings, since the All-Star break, they're in the top third of the league in defensive rebounding, which is great. But can the Kings keep the Warriors off the offensive boards tonight? I think those two things are extremely huge. And then also pace. What's going on with the pace? The Kings' pace since the All-Star break is almost at the bottom of the league. The Warriors are going to want to play a little bit quicker, but yet they're going to try to slow you down because of Jimmy Butler. So can the Kings, as Doug Christie always says, make them feel them first? Can we make our opponent feel us first? And I think that has to be the first priority tonight. And here's the other thing that I don't think enough people are saying. If I'm Doug, in games like New York, where Keon got pulled out for foul trouble, just let Keon play. You got to play your best players. In a game like that, let them play until they get 6, because you're going to fall behind. So anyways, let's get back to the chat, getting you ready for the Kings and the Dubs national TV game tonight.
That's terrible.
Chuck and the boys doing it on TNT. Might be the last time the Kings are on TNT. Yes, we would appreciate some likes. We've got a ton of Twitter viewers that have checked in as well. Altogether, 226. Appreciate that, and appreciate you for being here, spending your time with us. Don't forget, it's not just me tonight that's going to be here. You get a dose of Jerry Reynolds at halftime if you come back. Talk about the first half. We'll give you some keys to the second half, and then we'll do final scores as well. Usually, more times than not, our scores are right around the number. Maybe Vegas should give us a call. Maybe not. But no, come back. Jerry will be here. Lots of fun as always. And then after the game, we're taking your calls. Kings, Warriors fans, NBA fans. It's for you. Come back. We will discuss tonight's game. We'll start getting you ready for tomorrow's game in Phoenix. Man, that Phoenix team is really just something different. I don't know what to make of that team quite yet. So, but tonight, Kings Warriors going down from the Chase Center. Do you guys have some keys? What do you think the key to tonight's going to be? What are you looking at? How about your Aztecs basketball this afternoon, Ryan? My Wolfpack is playing now. Gotta win. To be quite honest, David, I have not been paying attention to college basketball whatsoever. Just too much going on with Kings right now, just entrenched in it. We didn't see, let's see, I'm using my mouse now. We didn't need the numbers to know that we were at the bottom of 3-point D. But okay, but do you see what I'm saying, Rob Bishop? There's two ways of looking at that. That number has been basically second, third, or worst in the NBA at defending it. But the attempts, they're controlling. So at least they're limiting the bleeding. That number, the 18 that I showed you, that continues to go down. So I think that is a big plus and a big thing you got to do tonight. Just don't let the Warriors come out tonight and get uncontested looks, because that is the exact opposite of them feeling you. And Keon Ellis, I'll tell you this, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, they've got a heck of a job in front of them trying to screen Keon Ellis. He is one of the more slippery guys in the league. So he does a really good job of avoiding that stuff. You got to add what we picked up. Valanciunas was huge, no doubt. Valanciunas was bigger than Levine. I feel very comfortable saying that getting Valanciunas was a bigger move this season than Levine because you've been without Sabonis a couple of different times, and he has stepped in seamlessly. I don't mind Devin Carter shooting. In fact, I would encourage Devin if he's wide open. It's been a problem for the Kings passing up good wide open shots and turning the ball over or turning it into a harder shot. What I do want to see is a little bit more of an even platter when it comes to the shots. Now, down the stretch, I get it. You have your clutch guys. Totally get it that DeMar, Zach, they're going to get some. And, I actually want to commend Zach for continuing to go to the hoop and go to the paint when he's not getting calls. That has actually been something that's impressed me a lot about his game. But you can't have halves where Keegan Murray's getting 2 shots. You can't have halves where Keon Ellis is getting no shots. You got to have everybody involved. The team just plays better when the ball moves. Period. End of story. The Kings will need to have 28 or more assists to win this game. The Kings cannot win this game without 28 or more assists. So give me your final score predictions. Which way you go? And Donald says, put a body on Butler. Don't let him slash to the basket this time and get rebounds. Was Valanciunas with the Kings yet? Yes, Valanciunas was with the Kings. Okay. He was just getting going. So I think that's a perfect, if I'm Doug, I'm probably thinking Laravia there. And I think that, and you got to watch his knee too, because that's what he's been out for the last couple of games. But Laravia on Butler, I like that. Probably Draymond and Keegan, Valanciunas, Jackson Davis, if they start him, or they might go small. We'll see what they end up doing. But regardless, it's coming up. It's coming at you here in just about 13 minutes. The other game going on right now, which is the Bucks and the Lakers. Let's check in with that one. We'll check in with the NBA scoreboard here in just 1 second. The Bucks are blowing out the Lakers 116-97. About 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter there. Speaking of the rest of the scoreboard, we might as well hit that as well. Give me your final scores for tonight as well. Detroit, looks like they are going to pick up a win over the Washington Wizards. No surprise there, 105-99. Let's update that because that score is more updated. There we go. Okay. 119-102, Milwaukee over the Lakers right now, according to The Athletic. Orlando up big on New Orleans, 88-59. Brooklyn leading Chicago. Look at Brooklyn playing some basketball. That'd be 2 in a row, 88-78. And Washington ended up beating Detroit tonight. How about that? 129-125. Very interesting. All right. I'm getting your keys. Then we're going to get out of here. Kia's hope Steph Curry says, I'm not playing today. No, you know what, Manuel? He can get his, but I'm telling you, Keon is pesky. I bet you if you, in this offseason, I would love to get this question to Steph Curry. I would like to know who in the last couple years has done the best job or has bothered him the most from a defensive standpoint. I would not be surprised if Keon Ellis comes up. Would not be surprised. John PK's doing baby back ribs. Key to win, share the ball. Love it. Love it. Valanciunas have a big game. Yeah, in some ways, that is their weakness. It's the big position. Can you get them into a place where they're not comfortable? Don't forget about the zone defense, too. The zone defense is something that you're going to see mixed in there, and you can't let the Knicks did this. And again, I'm not going to hammer the Kings for it because they were flat out exhausted, but they were letting the Knicks dribble through their zone. You can't let that happen. You really don't want to be shot out of the zone, but you're going to live with being shot out of the zone rather than guys dribbling through the zone. It just can't happen. Attack the cup, Edward says. Yeah. And here's the other thing. If the Kings aren't getting calls, I need more from Coach Christie. I need more from him. I said that after DeMar got fined. I said it again after DeMar got the technical last game. I need more from Coach Christie. If the officiating's not going the Kings' way, and I'm not saying that he's not in the official's ear, but what I am saying is I need that technical foul to come from him. That sends a message to the guys. So, especially when you're telling the guys, let me handle the refs. So keep an eye on that as well. I think that is important. Don't see stopping Steph. The Kings have done at times a pretty good job with Steph. Flores, keys to the game. Don't let Curry beat you. Anybody but him. Rebound hard on both sides. Yep. I like it. I like it. My friend Flores throwing his scoring as well. 123, 112. DSC into house. 134, 128 Warriors. Okay, so we're getting some Warriors scores. All good. 14-point loss to the Warriors in Matthew's opinion. Finchie hoping for overtime. 131, 129 Kings. I don't think overtime helps the Kings. I am hoping for the opposite of overtime, Finchie. Because then you're going to be in the same situation that you were in tomorrow night. Same one that you were in with Knicks. In fact, you got to get one of these two. You got to get one of the. Well, if you do it in overtime, you do it in overtime. Then so be it. And you get Domas back. Who sees? Keon's defense, elite. Share the ball. Okay, so you all are smart fans. You get it. They can't be. I said that earlier. You can't have foul problems today. Jimmy Butler, if there's a nemesis to DeMar DeRozan with drawing fouls, it's Jimmy Butler. He can do it, especially with the cutting. Jimmy Butler plays so much bigger than he actually is. So check him. Give him you want Keegan to give him a shoulder check? Give him a shoulder check. 116, 113. Loving it. I want to see Rick James Fox. Oh my gosh. We're going Chappelle. You need a blowout. Either way, you need a blowout. That's what I would say. That's what you want. I don't want this thing to go into double overtime, triple overtime, whatnot. Am I crazy to think tonight is a must win? Yes, I think you are, Ori. Tonight's not a must win. It's a gotta have, but it's not a must win. It's not, because the Kings are firmly entrenched in the play-in. The Warriors, again, they're going the other direction. They are likely to be a top 6 seed. In fact, I would almost guarantee they will be a top 6 seed right now. As we go into play, we might as well throw that up really quick before we depart. Let you know where everything stands in the association in the Western Conference. Get that going for you. Here we go. I'm doing the haunted horse, talking while I'm doing it. All right. So that's what the playoff situation looks like coming into tonight. Kings currently 3 games back of Golden State. I think it's a little bit of a big ask to make up 3 games. Maybe not. Anything could happen, but that's where the tiebreaker comes into play. That's why you want to win this game. If you're the Kings, you beat them twice already this season. But look at Phoenix right now. They are currently 5 games back of Sacramento in the loss column. They are 2 games back of Dallas in the loss column. So the reason that I was saying tomorrow night playing Phoenix is probably a bigger game for the Kings is because you want to keep Phoenix out of that play-in. You don't want to give them life. In a direct matchup with them where they get a win, you never know what's going to happen. And that's why that Clippers game was so big too. Look at that. A 1-game difference between the Kings and the Clippers for the 9 and the 8. Minnesota beat Denver last night in Denver. They are playing good basketball and their schedule is pretty damn easy the rest of the way. It's the easiest in the Western Conference. So if I'm the Kings, I am hoping to see Dallas in the play-in. Hoping for that. So don't forget, we are back at the half thanks for being here. Thanks for getting ready for this one with us. Can't wait to have Jerry and Grant around here in 24 minutes. Maybe we'll get some good Charles Barkley stories out of Grant at halftime. Bet we could. You know, Chuck was, I believe, Grant's first guest on If You Don't Like That. So it's pretty cool stuff. So looking forward to it. Enjoy the first half. Hope the Kings come out and do all the things we talked about. Make it competitive. Make it clean. Again, no Sabonis, no Pajemski for the Warriors. Kuminga back for the Warriors. And then you also have Laravia and Lyles available for the Kings. Will Isaac Jones sneak in there? I venture to say you will probably see some Isaac Jones, Devin Carter as well. So all hands on deck tonight in the Bay Area. Looking forward to seeing you back here in roughly about an hour and 15 minutes. Take it in, TNT, maybe for the last time for this team. Fun stuff. Love that crew. I believe EJ is out sick tonight, though. Darn it. Love me some EJ. But we're focused on this one. All right. We'll see you at the half. Enjoy the first 24 minutes of basketball. Grant, Jerry, right after the end of the second quarter.